How's it going, everybody? So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about setting goals and really smashing your goals in 2022. So I think this is really important because a lot of people, they'll set goals, which is always great, but it's, kind of like the common stigma that New Year's resolutioners apparently don't follow through with their goals and yada yada. However, research on the subject actually shows 6 months into the year, about 65% of New Year's resolutioners that are actually tested in some of these studies actually continue to go through with their goals 6 months into the year. So that's 65% of the New Year's resolutioners in this study I'm talking about. They actually go through with their goals 6 months into the year. That's a large percentage. And then exactly 12 months after setting their New Year's resolutions, about 45% of the subjects in the study being referenced actually go through with their goals. So in reality, New Year's resolutions is a beneficial thing. But, you're going to hear a lot of people kind of like claim that New Year's resolutions are pointless and blah, 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 just because it's all hype and no one ever goes through with their goals. That's false. Don't listen to them. It is important for you to be hyped up. It is important for you to set New Year's resolutions, but it's also important for you to have the proper goal setting strategy and the proper processes along the way to keep you adhering to your New Year's resolution as the year goes along. And so we're going to be kind of diving deeper into some of these strategies in this video. But it's very important to understand that, like New Year's resolutions, like it's an illusion that New Year's resolutioners don't actually go through with their goals, but that's an illusion, okay? It's better to set New Year's resolutions and to be hyped up on it than to not set New Year's resolutions, okay? So don't listen to these people. Like I saw one guy on Instagram who said, research shows only 99% of New Year's resolutioners don't actually go through with their goals. That's false. Where's the reference? Reference, citation, please. Don't listen to these people. They'll try to coax you like that. It's not. No, it looks like most New Year's resolutioners don't go through their goals. You know why? Because the vast majority of people that you know are setting New Year's resolutions. So you have an overall higher amount of people setting goals at the beginning of the new year. And so as a total amount of people, you're also going to see a lot of people falling off. Okay, you're going to see a lot of people setting goals and not going through with it just because more overall people are setting goals at the beginning of the new year. Also, there's a negativity bias in humans where we tend to hang on to the people that failed and notice more the people that failed rather than the people that actually went through with it. In your own social circle, you're going to notice a lot of the people who are like saying that they're going to do something but actually not going through with it. But then a lot of your friends that actually continue to stick to it, you might like their posts on Instagram. You might tell them, oh, good job. You're doing great, buddy. And then just forget about it. But you're going to notice and hang on a lot more to the people who are failing. Okay, and that's just a common observation in human psychology. Okay, it's not a fact. It's just a high tendency that most humans studied tend to bias towards. Okay, but you should change that. You should start to develop a positivity bias, which is what I find to be the most effective strategy. And so that's important, okay, because how you see other people and how you see the likelihood of them reaching their successes is going to kind of influence you reaching your own successes. Okay, that's very important. So, more people succeed than are given credit for. All right, so now we got that out of the way. Let's talk about some of my top tips for actually going through with your goals in 2022. So obviously the first thing is to actually set goals, is to create goals, okay? Now you'll hear like even in college courses and stuff, set SMART goals, okay? Specific, measurable, realistic, timely, whatever, okay? But you'll hear this over and over again. You'll hear this in certification courses for personal training. You'll hear this in, nutrition certifications. You'll hear this in anything that involves getting people to change their behaviors for the better, okay? Now, there's a lot of problems with SMART goals, and the research on the subject actually seems to point towards SMART goals not really being as effective as they are claimed to be in a lot of these courses. And generally, the whole idea of SMART goals, it was originally created seemingly to improve productivity in the workforce. So people who are doing 9-to-5 jobs and stuff like that, and they have quotas, jobs like sales and stuff like that. Developing like goals that are based on a specific deadline, like March 2022, I will lose 60 pounds by going to the gym 3 times a week, blah, blah, blah. Those types of goals don't work when we're talking about things that your whole life is not reliant on, okay? When you are at a job, like a sales job or like, like any kind of like business job, 9 to 5, even a programming job or something like that where you have a salary and then maybe some commission, whatever. Those types of goals will help you get there because if you don't reach your quota by that date, then you're going to lose your house and you're not going to have money to pay for food and whatever. That's not the way to get things like weight loss or win a gold medal at a jiu-jitsu tournament like my goal is, or whatever. If you don't absolutely have to do a goal, and this is the big key here, because as a personal trainer with the average population as well as a strength and conditioning coach with athletes, I see what drives people to achieve their goals. I've been doing personal training since 2014, 2013, depending on how you slice it. Strength and conditioning since about 2016-ish. And these SMART goals don't get people to where they need to be. It's reinforced by the research and definitely an experience. Okay, so I'm just going to put that out there. The reason why SMART goals are kind of not so great, and especially we're talking about these specific goals with specific deadlines and specific processes outlined, is because human beings are dynamic creatures. And as the year unfolds, and this is the one big thing that keeps people from actually achieving their goals as they go along, is that life changes. And it gets overwhelming if the plan is not adaptable. And I see people preaching SMART goals time and time again. A lot of these people preaching SMART goals, they, in and of themselves, the only SMART goals they set for themselves that they actually went through with are things, again, that are based on their actual livelihood. Not something like losing weight and this and that. And if they do lose weight with that, it's not because you made a SMART goal. It's because you took care of these other things we're talking about. So anyway, it's important your goal setting strategy allows for changes along the way, allows for flexibility. You shouldn't put an absolute deadline on your goal. That's too much pressure. That's preventing you from reaching your absolute potential. You want to set goals where the bar is low enough that you can achieve it. And if something crazy happens, like a family member, something happens to them, God forbid, or, like your job starts to get really busy. Like for me, being a trainer and a consultant and dealing with client schedules and stuff, that's like the number one thing for me. Is it's hard to make like jiu-jitsu training sessions sometimes a priority because all of my clients train after they get off of work when jiu-jitsu sessions are in. So for me, I learned in 2021 what is backed by the research, that you have to make your plan adaptable. So my goal was like, I'm going to be a gold medalist, blah, 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 by like March of 2021 or whatever, last year. And that freaking didn't happen by that time. Because it was so hard for me to maintain the schedule. Because when I was setting goals in December, I wasn't ready for the high amount of client load that was going to be placed upon me when the New Year's resolutioners came. So New Year's resolutioners came January 2021, and Jesus Christ, I was working all morning, I can't, like, the whole freaking day, weekends, and I'd have a lot of clients, because more people are signing up, more people are setting goals for themselves. I had a lot of clients who would just no-show me and stuff like that, because of course they aren't setting these flexible goals and they're taking on more than they can handle. They're trying to force goals that just aren't going to work with their lifestyle, whatever. My whole life was just like fucked. That goal was doomed. Okay. However, I did end up competing in May. So it's like 2 months later after that original deadline. And I did good. I didn't get gold. I got silver. But I'll tell you, that training camp for that competition was hell, because I was dying trying to make enough time to train. But I forced myself to do it anyway. And I was like, dude, how the fuck am I going to even get bronze, right? Until the day of the competition, I changed my mindset, forced myself to do as good as I could, and I won silver. I could have won gold too if I would have kind of mentally prepped myself by being more flexible. Okay. So anyway, you gotta make room for things not being ideal. That's huge. Okay. You got to be flexible. You got to be adaptable. And that's why working with, depends on what your goal is. But if it's fitness, health oriented, whatever, find a teacher or a coach that understands this dynamic and they're willing to work and they're willing to auto regulate as you go along. They're willing to tweak things, right? And they'll keep you accountable too. That's another key, is accountability. And we'll get into that in a bit. So yeah, so SMART goals, get them out of there. Okay. The date in which you are going to achieve that goal can change, okay? And then also the goal itself can change, all right? So let's say you have a goal of, you really want to drop 100 pounds because you're obese or whatever. And your goal is 100 pounds by 4 months or whatever. Okay. So you can do that. 100 goals in 4 months. I've done that shit in 2 months and increased their deadlift 100 pounds. Okay. But so the thing is, and especially the more extreme your goal is, the more extreme the protocol's got to be. And you've also got to understand that that kind of extreme protocol is not sustainable in the long term, but it can get you to your goal in the short term. So you have to have extreme dedication and be willing not just to commit, but to do the program whether you feel like it or not. Okay? If you really want to get that specific goal. Again, the SMART goal, it's not playing to human beings' strengths. You got to force your fucking self a lot of days to actually go through with the program to get yourself there. Okay, depending on how high the goalpost is or how low, right? 100 pounds in 4 months, in my opinion, it's easy, but I've been doing this shit for a long time. But I'll tell you from looking at clients and whatnot, that is not, and again, this applies to everything, like money, I want to make, $20,000 in sales in 4 months, which is, I think, pretty reasonable depending on what you're selling, right? It doesn't matter what the goal is. The principle applies all around. But yeah, so again, 100 pounds in 4 months, yeah, it's easy as hell, okay? You could, but so the thing is, some people might be motivated by being healthy and just a more general, non-specific goal. They want to be healthy. They want to feel good. They want to, get that endorphin rush. They want to get the blood pumping. They want to feel passionate about exercise. And that's the long-term adherence thing too. No matter what your goal is, for you to maintain it long-term, that has to be in place. But some people can't do the short-term goal by grinding it out. They can't just say, fuck it, I don't feel like it today. I don't, like I've had clients who had no reason at all, but they would just, after work, they'd be tired or whatever, and they would get the hamburger with the bun, with the fries, with the soda, full sugar, and their goal is to like drop 60 pounds or whatever in a couple months, and like they were doing great, and they were on their way to their goal, but they have a habit of just no reason at all allowing themselves to make these choices that has not, like, it's not going to benefit them at all, and it's going to actually send them in the wrong direction. And then of course they fall off the face of the earth because they lose momentum. And like all that guy had to do was say, even if you're going to eat the bun, if you insist, because you don't really need any of that except for the burger patty in my opinion, but just remove the fries and get a sugar-free soda, okay? And those people who say that, sugar-free sweeteners are going to kill you and all this stuff, look, there may be some validity to some of those claims for some of those sweeteners, okay? Maybe, okay? But in this scenario, it doesn't fucking matter, okay? What matters is we reduce the caloric load, or if they have diabetes, reduce your glycemic load as much as you can that's sustainable, okay? And like I'm saying right now, a lot of people, for whatever reason, and I talk to them, they don't know why. They're just like, bro, just let me have it, please. Just let me have the experience. If my client, if they can choose the diet soda instead of the full sugar soda, that already is a step in the right direction. And it may not be a lot of calories that they're sacrificing, but in the long term, not only calorically, but mentally, the habits are what matters. That's what we care about. But to get someone, like, you'd be surprised. So I have, 65% of my clients or whatever. I don't know why that's the percentage today, but it just is. 65% of my fucking clients are good. They're like, they'll do whatever the fuck I tell them, and they get great results, and they are everything's sustainable. These are usually people who are academics, and like I have a lot of doctors, or a lot of clients who are doctors or professors, or they're working in some of the sciences, right? And they are used to having a rigid schedule with processes in place and systems in place to get them there, and following guidelines. But my clients who don't have that, it seems that way at least, that they're the ones who usually follow everything I tell them to do. Like, they have the hardest time. So anyway, I don't remember where I was going with that. So with a client who can't just follow like the specific guidelines to lose 100 pounds and have that as a goal, he needs a completely different approach, a completely different mindset. Okay, and I see this all the time. And my clients who are like, they just have a hard time adhering and coming to the gym even, you've got to set the goalposts low. That's the first thing. You got to focus on consistency though, because if the goalpost is low, a lot of these clients, if you let them, and again, I'm sounds like I'm just talking about personal training, but I'm trying to help you guys understand the approach to goal setting, right? You don't want it to be so easy that you're like, it's cool, I'll just allow myself to kind of, relax. It's okay. The goalpost is low, because that's a slippery slope. And a lot of times you just fall off the wagon, and you'll be a part of the 45% of people that don't go through with their New Year's resolutions by 6 months afterward, as we mentioned the original study at the very beginning. So set that goalpost low enough, but high enough to actually make progress, okay? Ideally, you want to develop discipline, okay? And discipline is a habit, okay? People think they're attached to the personality or whatever. They're like, I am the type of person that needs more rest or more flexibility. Look, you are whatever type of person you tell yourself you are and you train yourself to be, okay? This is another key important part of goal setting, or really just achieving anything in life, whatever it is. So let me kind of so I was watching a video by this guy, Leo in Longevity. Good channel, great channel. But this guy, he approaches everything from a very empirical kind of mindset, focusing mostly on data research, like data and numbers. And it was a video on ambidextry, where basically he was, like if you're left-handed or right-handed, right? And he was talking about how, like, people who are either left-handed or who develop the ability to be dominant with both their left or their right hand, at first he was saying, oh, they must have a high IQ. But then he was saying, no, actually, people who are ambidextrous, who can use their left hand as their dominant hand, or both hands dominantly, that they're more likely to be injured, and that's why they're ambidextrous. And it's because he's focusing too much on the research and not enough on what we know about human psychology, what we know about the SAID principle, specific adaptation to imposed demands. So basically what I'm trying to say is, look, like I'm using my left hand right now on this. You could train your body to use your fucking left hand, okay? It's important to remove this idea that, like, there has to be something special, like my genetics, to be a left-hand dominant person, I have to be genetically inclined to do so. Or to be a motivated person, I have to be genetically inclined. It's crazy how even people who are super into science, and they're very intelligent people, if you listen to this guy talk, he's very intelligent, clearly. Even then, we want to give away our ownership of our life. We want to give away our responsibility to genetics or to injury or something like that. Like, bro, if you want to use your left hand as your dominant hand, train that. And that, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, is supported by mechanistic data. Like, we know that. It's like in martial arts, you see this all the time. Your coach tells you to stop doing a sweep with your dominant hand and start focusing on the other side. You get better on the other side after a couple weeks. It's hard at first, but it gets better. Because I hear this all the time. People will be like, "Oh, I just don't like to read." It's like, well, fuck. If you I know it's hard at first because you never do it. Practice reading and you'll get better. Man, I'm just the type of guy who just I'm more relaxed, or I'm more laid back, or whatever, and that's why I chose the freaking French fries and the soda. So it's that's not you. It's not you, man. You are the person who, you have 100 pounds overweight. It's not healthy, and you hired me to get you to lose those pounds. You yourself need to own that shit. You need to fucking don't eat the fries. There's literally what do you have to lose if you don't eat the fries, okay? So the key here though is I could tell these people this shit over and over again, right? We could set that SMART goal, 100 pounds in a couple months, whatever. But bro, it doesn't matter what goal you set, how specific it is, how realistic it is, timely, none of that. If you don't have the right habits and mindset in place, and a lot of it has to do with what you believe. The worst thing that you can believe is, is that your genetics determine your habits, or your genetics determine your personality, or whatever. There's personality typing, okay, or body typing, okay? Anyone who still thinks that mesomorph, ectomorph, that shit is not real. As far as body fat, if you're a hard gainer, all that shit. It's an illusion. Okay, and I'll make another video explaining why. It's if you understand calories in versus calories out, muscle distribution along a person's kinetic structure, it's kind of like impossible to like hang on to that nonsense with the way that's used. Like obviously some people have longer bones and shit like that and wider shoulders and stuff, but that has nothing to do with how efficient your fat gain or your muscle gain or whatever is. Okay, so but anyway, everyone wants to just give away their potential to fucking genetics or to like the type of person they think they are, their soul, like my true self. All of this shit needs to be butchered. Okay, but the key though is when people believe, oh, I am just this type of person, they can't remove that because they legitimately are living in that world. They're living in that world where they're like, oh, I am just a lazy person. That's the type of person I am. So the goal can't, if they're functioning from this place where they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe that they can change because they believe that they have all these limitations they think they have, right? You have to change your mindset, and you have to focus on habits, and you have to focus on the mindset. So that's a long-winded way of saying you can't focus on the end goal necessarily or specific deadlines or anything. You got to focus on how you think about it. You got to focus on enjoying the process. Okay? Just, some people, so, and again, it depends on the freak. And again, if you're in sales, it's different. In sales, sure you can focus on the process and shit, but the end goal is always there in your face. There's nothing you can do if you have quotas, or like you're in college and you've got this workload, you have a graduation date, you know what I mean? You have like a course completion date, you have deadlines. SMART goals work for fucking school. SMART goals work for jobs 9 to 5. Okay, those deadlines are already in place. But for weight loss goals and stuff, motherfuckers don't have to show up to the gym. They don't have to lose weight. They don't have to go to training sessions, whatever. Okay? The same thing goes for like if your goal is family oriented. Like I want to spend more time with my kids and stuff like that. It's got to mean a lot to you. It's got to mean something to you, and you've got to reinforce the meaning, the emotions, right? And it's hard. So, man, I always spend a shit ton of time talking about like one concept. So I guess we'll make this a part 1 because I just don't want to overload people with too much information. We'll make a part 2 where we talk about, I guess, like more happy shit. But this is the main thing you got to really focus on. Look, you got to change the habits. You got to change your identity. You got to focus on discipline. That is not cliche. This is not a tough guy thing. This is just what it is. Okay? And how you develop the discipline, how you go about reinforcing the habits is individualized, okay? But it's all within a flexible system, okay? It's within a flexible system. What was I forgot there's a model. I don't remember if it's not the 2-factor model, is it? There's a model of behavior change that talks about this. But you want a overall system that's easy to follow. You don't have to count, you don't have to like quantify a lot, like count a lot, right? And again, it all depends on what your goal exactly is, but you want to focus on the basics. Be big on the basics. Change the most, like, what is it, the 80-20 principle, okay? The key, though, is not to slack, okay? 20%, focus on the 20% of the most effective things that give you 80% of the results. But what the 20% is key. For example, for nutrition, okay, I understand calories are king, okay? Especially if it's health and body composition oriented, you want to focus on protein first. Calories are key. However, you can do all sorts of fucking protocols to get you there. I generally tell my clients, look, Focus on the fruits as carb sources, because it's very hard to overeat fruit. Remove the starches, yada, yada. Focus on non-starchy vegetables, because, it's easier for them to adhere to. If you're going to, eat some kind of sweet cake or, whatever, get the sugar-free sweeteners. You know what I mean? If you have to, get a soda, get the diet soda. I don't tell them specifically to drink diet soda. I don't tell them, diet soda is fine. I say, look, if that's what you're going to do, it's cool as long as it's diet. You have no fucking reason to get the sugar. That is literally choosing to go against your goal. So you need congruency, right? You need alignment in your thoughts, words, and actions. How you do that, how you do the caloric restriction. I've had clients who literally fasted every other day. I didn't tell them to do that, but they chose to do that. They, whatever the fuck they wanted on one day, and they just fasted for 24 hours. And we trained hard. And this client in particular lost 100 pounds in 2 months doing that. And they put 100 pounds on their deadlift. So they gained strength and muscle at the same time as losing 100 pounds in 2 months by going their own way. Another reason why your approach has to be flexible. Okay? If you want to eat grains and stuff, that's cool, but just understand we've got to do it in a way that'll keep you, going towards your goal. If you want to be vegan for whatever reason and you insist on it, then I'm going to help you get your goals, get there. But again, we have to focus on how to do so. And I personally always try to get people to, you should probably, include these certain animal products, this and that, or at least explain kind of the nuances behind, it might be a little bit more challenging, might not. But again, all I'm saying is the protocol needs to be flexible. The schedule needs to be flexible. The deadline has to be flexible. And even your goal needs to be flexible. One person can be motivated by lose 100 pounds in 4 months. Another person might be more motivated towards just come to the gym, as often as you can. Enjoy the workouts. Remove the sugar, remove the just eat whole foods. No matter what you eat, just eat whole foods, right? And if you have to go out to eat, reduce the portion sizes. There has to be a level of rigidity, though. But some people, the thing is a lot of times, though, adherence is like the killer. It's like, this is why people fall off. A lot of times people will think, I have to eat 0 carbs or else I won't get my goal or whatever. In reality, as long as you're consistently on the train and you don't overdo it, as long as you're consistently making changes over time that are in alignment with your goal, those habits are going to change. And if you're not, eventually you're going to get tired of half-assing it, and you're just going to be like, fuck this shit, man. I'm going to just do it. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to make a part 2 that'll be a lot more motivational. But this shit is just you got to have the right mindset. So hopefully this made sense. Talk to y'all next time.